Hey guys, Shasta here with Checker, and we are at H&H Americas, and today Laura Coia of SewVeryEasy is going to introduce her new stuff, and it is already on our website, so you can get your pre-orders in, but we're going to let her talk about it because she knows her product the best. So thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Thanks for asking. I appreciate it. So I do have a pin marking system, and this is a system that I have been using for years. What it is going to do, it is going to help you pre-mark your fabrics, pre-set things aside so that you're set up for success. If you are just going to open up a pattern, start cutting and go forward, you have a greater chance of not having success. Things might not match, you might not have enough pieces, you might not have enough fabric. So what I want to do is take all of that out of the equation. Let's make it very simple when we get to the machine. We always read our patterns first, so let's read those patterns and give our pieces names. When we read a pattern, a lot of patterns are written just the pieces that we cut, A, B, C, D. That's lovely. That's already done the work for us. But a lot of the patterns do not. They just tell you, cut, 250, 2.5 inch squares, and then cut this much and this much and this much. So then when we go to read the pattern, we're reading the pattern. We're going to take the 2.5 inches and we're going to join them with this and you're going to join them with that, and you're like, I don't know. I have to go back to where my cutting is. So what we're going to do is we're going to identify all of our pieces with our own personal names. And the names are going to be numbers and letters. Hold on, she's adjusting. So we have a pin marking system. It's going to come in this nice case. Oh, and the case, by the way, screws on so that if we drop it, the pins stay inside. Because I don't like picking up pins. So we have a set of 4. We have 4 sets of letters, 4 sets of numbers, and 2 arrows, because sometimes we need arrows going this direction. So the idea is we are going to read the quilt pattern and we're going to identify our cutting pieces. We're just going to take a pen, just identify those cutting pieces. We can identify them with a single name as a letter or a number, or we can give it letter number combination. I'm going to have it's all going to be fabric J, but it's piece 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every component, every piece is going to have its own name, simple names, the names that are going to match the pins. Then as we read the pattern and we try to make sense of the pattern, we're going to be able to go through and go, oh, I need 3 strips, 2.5 by 17. When you're reading the pattern, I'm going to go by and say, oh, that's piece J. Oh, that's piece J. So we're going to end up with nice little piles, not as small as this, but this one fits better on my hands. So we're going to have these stacks, and they're all going to have their own personal, sort of like, think of it as an email address. They all have their own name, their own address. So now when we bring this to the machine, and as we're reading our pattern, we're going to say, oh, join A and B together. And we will know what they are because we've given them their own names and numbers. So it's easy to go right to the machine and start doing this. We're not having to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then, if you really like, you can take your pieces, and once again, it probably will be bigger than this unless you're doing miniatures, and you can put the pieces out, and you can put that little pin in and label it so you know all of your pieces. So at a glance, you know that these are going to match. You've cut them right, or maybe you didn't have enough fabric, or you've changed your mind, but we can identify this. You're going to bring this to the machine and you're just going to be able to sew one right after the other. You're not making mistakes. You're not putting the wrong piece with the wrong other piece. We're not stitching 555 2.5 inch squares where it should have been 2.5 by 2 1/4 together. And then we have to reverse sew. So by doing this prep work, it makes our sewing a lot easier. It gives us a greater success of having success when we are finished the quilt. And then afterwards, we just get to put them all back and go on. So there's lots of pins that we're going to be able to mark our quilts. If you want to do more than one quilt at a time, it's easy to do. Those patterns are going to be marked for us. Those pins are sitting there. So at any given time, you're going to be able to pick up that quilt and know exactly where you're going, know exactly what you've done, because the pins have those names that we've given on those pieces. So that's how the system works.